I'm going to welcome now with the wonderful panel. We have Geeta Dharmarajan, Executive Director of Katha, Sohini Bhattacharya, CEO of Breakthrough India, Jitendra Bansal, Financial Director, Room to Read. So great to see you all, three of you, and so wonderful to have you for this session. What I really, I'm intrigued with all of your profiles. I was going through and I was researching about all three of you, and I'm so happy to share this virtual space with you. So, can we have a virtual applaud for all these three and plus Ayush Prasad before we proceed, Person? Can we have the virtual applaud without getting disturbed with the so you can have that icons of clapping all the audience request. So moving forward, I will request three of you one by one, if you can introduce your organization and your work and your craft, that would be great. I will welcome first Miss Geeta.
Okay, my name is Geeta Darbarajan, and I started Katha, which is I call it a profit for all organization, but it's actually a non-profit organization, as if nobody gets profit from our organization. But we are a profit for all organization, and uh, we've been working with children and for children over the last 33 years. I started it in 1988. So today I'm going to try and talk about the kind of work we've done in financial, we never called it financial literacy, but what is the work that we've done in bringing sustainability to our families, because we've been working with some of the poorest families in the country, and their caring and sharing and various aspects of sustainability were very important. Thank you very much.
Sohini, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on this panel. And it's a wonderful experience to be on the same panel with Geeta Dharmarajan, because we've known about Katha and looked up to her for so many years. So it's a privilege. I work with an organization called Breakthrough, which has been working on last years on transforming discriminatory gender norms and creating young champions who would make violence against women and girls unacceptable. We work across four states, which is UP, Haryana, Jharkhand, Bihar, and states, which are steeped in patriarchal systems, and we work with the most vulnerable young girls and young adults, both boys and girls, in the villages. So before financial literacy, there are many things that a school system actually can do for these communities, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. We also have recently partnered with the government in Punjab to relook at the curriculum for classes 6, 7, and 8 and make it more gender balanced and gender equitable by really reworking the syllabi of English, moral science, and social sciences, and also training about 46,000 teachers on how to really build a gender equitable view, not just for the students but also for themselves. So I'll talk a little bit about the
Yeah.
need for financial literacy for women and girls, and why is it so important in terms of the
Yes.
the social
Yeah.
constructs of our society.
Yeah. Thank you. Over to you, Jitendra. Jitender. If
Yeah, thank you, Deepali.
yeah,
So,
welcome.
a very good morning to all of you present here today to celebrate the 6th year of Dhangyan. And it's a privilege for me to be a part of this session. So, like many other visionary organizations, working towards education, we at Room to Read believe that world change starts with educated children. For the past 17 years, Room to Read India seeks to transform the lives of millions of children in India by focusing on literacy and gender equality in education, providing them with
Yeah.
essential skills that help them discover new opportunities and set them on the path, to be decision makers.
Mm.
Education is a powerful tool that can break the cycle of poverty within a single generation. So an
Yes.
educated child can actually become an asset to their families and the surrounding environment. In today's
Yes.
world, utmost importance needs to be given to girls' education. Girls' education is a strategic development priority. It goes beyond getting girls into schools. Better educated women tend to be more informed about nutrition and healthcare, have fewer kids, marry at a later age, and their children are usually healthier should they choose to become mothers. Through our consistent efforts, we have benefited close to 5 million children in India and empowered more than 60,000 girls through our girls' education program. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So let's start by, realizing the fact that what do you think? What three of you, individually think? If what kind of, if a child or a youth becomes, or this, whatever we are heading through, or the objective of this program to have your nation, financially empowered. So what do you think? What will be the real life implications of education that, can be imbibed from now, and that the students and the youth can take for their future. So Sohini, you can go first with this.
Um, Mr. Ayush was speaking just before us, talking prosperity for all, shared
Yeah,
prosperity. Now,
yeah.
who shares this prosperity? Definitely, women and girls in our country do not share this prosperity. And our education and educational systems are steeped in that same patriarchal views as societies. There's a deep-rooted gender bias, which demonstrated by the textbooks themselves, which still talk about mom stays at home and father goes to the market. The classroom discourses where the teachers often breed an atmosphere that implies that boys, on an average, understand science, technology, engineering, mathematics, finance much better, whereas girls perform better in reading, writing, and art, which are not looked at as an essential subject in school. Classroom discourses also result in similar behaviors among kids, so that girls are teased about, you will not understand anything about finance, right? And then we grow up understanding that as women, it's best that financial decisions are taken by men, and we often tell our husbands, you manage all our investments. I'm not really equipped to actually take that decision. The other question that happens is that once I start earning money as a woman, who controls my money? Often, the money is not controlled by me, because it's controlled by a male member of the family. It could be my father, it could be my elder brother, it could be my husband. Now, these, you must understand that if financial literacy is actually going to work for women and girls, then how students are learning needs to completely change. Fundamentally, schools need to become more receptive for girls and deliver education of better quality. It's particularly important to ensure that teachers are trained and sensitized to gender norms, because they come from the same situation where the children come from. And especially in schools in Haryana, where when we have gone visiting, when the visitors come, the teachers would ask the girls to make the tea and the boys to actually carry the bench out, you know thereby creating a thing in the children's head that boys have much more physical strength and girls are very good at kitchen. you know Everything begins from there. So if schools are not going to break that kind of a stereotype, then no amount of financial literacy or any other kind of inputs are going to really help the girls to become citizens of tomorrow. Availability of gender sensitive environment in schools is very important. Curriculums
I
need to reflect, books need to
Yeah.
reflect that, and challenge that gender bias and provide leadership to girls. So I'll
I
stop there,
Yeah, I
to
agree that
ask questions.
this is, burning issue right now, that we want to step in and we want to do this. But don't you think, Sohini, that introduction of financial literacy with this kind of, this is the next question addressed to Geeta on the same ground, that if we, through the storytelling, we can remove this barrier, will it be more impactful? What do you say, Geeta? Miss Geeta, sorry. Geeta, you are on
Immediate.
mute,
I'm
mute,
muted.
mute.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you really look at Kata, and I'm going to restrict myself to the experiences we've had in our organization. In 1988, when I started working in the largest slum cluster in Delhi, I found that the children were working, 4-year-olds were working. So you found that they went there because their parents thought or their mothers thought that they would get their lunch over there. She never knew that they were being put to work. So the whole idea of sustainability and the whole idea of financial literacy or financial prudence comes from the fact that we are living a sustainable life. Because without that, there is no need for, I think, looking at financial literacy at all. So I remember that we started off with what I call the Kata relevant education for all round development. The idea was that if something is relevant for the child, they would be able to continue and be in education. I'll give you one example. Uh, when I was going to the school and regularly, you would see little children of 4 years old and 5 years old running to get curry patta for their mothers. So they would be given 25 paise or something like that, and then they will go, they'll buy the curry patta, go back, and they would always take back the right change with them. They would never leave even one paisa back with the shopkeeper. So we started the Ganit Kendra in Qatar. The Ganit Kendra was actually a place where it was a simulation game. So children would be there, some of them would be buyers and some of them would be sellers. And they would sell just about anything. They might make something in the craft room and they'll put it out over there. They'll make, they were learning to make chapati. So, they'll be rolling out chapati. So they'll put it out over there. So from that, the idea that, I could sell ethically and that I should be selling ethically and that I should be buying for my need and not for my want. So going from, Gandhiji's sayings, because those were two things that guided us in Katha. Find purpose and the means will follow. And two, there's enough for everyone's need and not for everyone's greed. So when we looked at these two things with our children, not using these big, big words, but, in their playful way, we found that, they got so much excitement about buying and selling. From that, we moved into a way in which children could come into their maths learning because by class 2, we are moving into story sums. We are no longer telling a child it's 2 plus 2 is 4. We are saying there are 2 girls and 2 boys in the classroom. So how many children are there? And every child who did the 2 plus 2 is 4 very, very nicely and fatafat came up with an answer was stumped because they couldn't read that many words. They couldn't read. So the whole focus on being able to read a story, to tell a story, to find encouragement and to find finally empowerment through story was one of the major ways in which financial literacy came into Qatar. And this started off, I must say, because as Sohini was saying, it is the women. When I look at it, how did all this start happening? Because now we work with more than 1 million children. We've had about 10 million children who read and moved forward. We've been working with governments. We've been doing all these things. So all of that has a basis in what our women do. So when I started in 1988, 89, 90, the school, I thought that, if women earned, children would learn, would have the
Yeah.
opportunity to learn. Therefore, immediately in September, we started the school. By January, the income generation program for the women had started. They were earning 600 to 800 rupees a month at that point of time. Not just the women, the family was earning 600 to 800 rupees a month. Today, our children are earning 100 times that amount. They are in the administrative service, they are in IBM, they are in Citibank, they are, the best of, bakers. They have art exhibitions, they are artists, they are heading, art departments in international schools. So you'll find that, this thing of starting with the women, learning from the women, because they are so good at managing the money, especially when there are women living in poverty. And I know, but my mother was the best. She stretched money like rubber. I never know how she managed to stretch that money. And I remember, for instance, she used to have this Tirupati Hundi, it was called, that little thing. And anything that my father brought in would be put into that little change. And by the end of the month, if we did not have money, we didn't have to fear. Of course, we never got ice cream or anything of that sort ever. There was no pocket money. But she would be able to pick on that and take that money and said, God always understands. This thing of saying God always understands and being able to look at, the family growth and the family's welfare, I think is something that women do. And financial literacy is part and parcel of what we learn from our mothers. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I totally, with you both that women is the the strong foundation can be made. But yes, with this we are also looking out, and Jitendra, you can throw some light there. What do you think that now this financial economy and literacy in youth, how you think that it will going to the change the entire perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, your question will best be responded by this statement. Our father refused to pay for her education because she was a girl child. 20 years later, his hospital bill was paid by his daughter. So you
Yeah.
can appreciate, why girl education is so important. So real education is a journey, from converting a human being into being human. Education is not just a preparation for life. Education is life itself. It's a battle against poverty, which everyone should fight. So
Yeah.
financial literacy plays a key role here, how people can fight poverty. And,
Mm.
according to UNESCO reports, if I may quote, millions of lives can come out of poverty if, low income countries can achieve their education targets by 2030. Also, according to
Mm-hmm.
World Bank, a country with equal education has significantly higher per capita income, almost up to more than 20% higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, World Bank also lists educating girls as a strategic development investment. So it
Yeah.
states, as per its estimates, when 10% more girls go to school, a country's GDP increases on an average by 3%. An
Mm-hmm.
educated girl will reinvest 90% of her income back into her family. An
Yeah.
extra year of girls' education can reduce infant mortality rate by 5 to 10%. So in nutshell, an educated girl will stay healthy, save money, build a business, empower her community, and lift her cut.
Okay. So now the thing is, it's not only about the girl that we are talking. We are talking about in general financial literacy. So when we speak about that, every rupee that we contribute should be contributed as efficiently and effectively as possible. And this is a line that I read from Room to Read. This is not my original line. I read it from your website, and this eventually will, what we are driving here is that the youth is going to be the foundation for the future. Youth is going to be, going to give this nation. And how you all think that this green communication will help? And Sohini, if you can, just because green communication is one thing that you love to have, and you also work with women empowerment, you also love to have green communication. So if you can start the conversation for
Um,
this point, and quickly we can wrap it
I'm
up.
going to
Yeah.
stick to women and girls because that's my passion and that's where I
Okay.
work. And I'm going to also talk about young boys. I'm not going to talk
Yeah.
about adults because that's not my really. Yeah, adolescents and young adults who we work with. See,
Yeah.
financial literacy, financial equality is undeniably a crucial component, of achieving, to my
Yes.
mind, gender equality. But I think the norms around women and girls and how boys and men perceive women and girls need to really go through a drastic change if financial equality is going to be achieved by everybody and if India is to grow. A poor girl from a vulnerable community really do not need to reach her full potential because her country's economy is going to grow. She needs to reach the full potential because it's her right. And the sooner we realize
Yes.
that, all of us sitting in this room, I think we are going to get really benefited. For example,
Absolutely.
women have historically been told to look for a rich husband who can provide for them. On the flip side, men are taught that it's masculine to talk about a lot of money and talk about investment. And this socialization extends to women's lived experience in home and in workplace. So, you look at major gender wave gap and all of those kind of things. So what we have done is that, to talk about this in a very effective way to young adolescents, both boys and girls, is that we've created a curriculum on gender equity called Taro Ki Toli. Now, the curriculum is based on games, like Geeta ji said, content, like Jitender said. It's based on a lot of interactive games, based on a lot of learning. It actually challenges you to question very discriminatory norms, in your family, in your
Yeah.
community. And it also helps build a gender equitable view. It also helps you to have intergender conversation, because in rural Indian
Okay.
schools you will often see that there is a really a wall between a girls department and a boys department, and yeah,
Yeah.
rural children do not really talk to their parents about anything. So encourage that. And we've created a whole package of interesting films by creating these two iconic characters called Pinky and Pankaj, who are your everyday, village girls and boys, 15-year-olds from any Indian village. And these are the people who talk about how adolescents can learn about gender equity, can learn about financial literacy, can actually share domestic chores.
This is about content development and engaging students through for financial literacy. Geeta, if you can share light for for a minute or so, and then I can ask Jitendra.
So
Uh,
I think in Qatar we've never used textbooks. We only use stories.
okay.
So right from then to now, it's only through stories that children learn about their subjects, and that is how they've moved on in life. So when you're looking at story and you're looking at how you build financial literacy on stories, it comes as part of an integrated and integral part of the learning. There's no something as curricular, non-curricular, etc., or extracurricular. So I'm quickly going to tell you that from the pre-entrepreneurship that we started with our children, in how to sort of value quality and not quantity, how the right shape of chapati will get you a little more money and things like that. And from that moving on to how they could wisely spend that money, working with the women, for instance, at the same time to see that they are able to be the role models for their children. In 1995, we started the Qatar School of Entrepreneurship. When I started the Qatar School of Entrepreneurship, it was to see that our children could learn sustainably in our system when they come from very poor communities. In government schools, sometimes they are not really appreciated and they are not given the time of day. So we thought that if we can take our children to class 12 on our own, it might help. Now we work with a lot of governments, but at that time, I'm talking about 1995, we said that we are not a feeder school. And so the whole curriculum was developed within Qatar. And we found that there are two things that we put in over there. Caring and sharing was very, very important. The second thing is when we are looking at learning, we felt that learning comes from either from people that we meet or from our books. Those were the two kinds of learnings that we got. So a lot of people, we invited entrepreneurs from society. The city became our classroom. We invited them to come and talk. So it was a learning that came from actual experience. It was not book learning, but it was from actual experience. Children heard and they imbibed. And I remember they're asking, how can we sort of manage if there is a policeman and he's demanding money? And there were these real life situations where we just could not find an answer for what the children wanted. Therefore, the children had to find their own answers. So, as Shoni said, critical thinking, problem solving, that becomes the major thing of financial stability. I think I should be able to solve my problems and think
Mhm.
deeper and with creativity and with curiosity, think about what I want and what I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a little bit about the financial programs, if you can share, Jitendra, which can help for youth that you room to read have or something like that.
Yeah, sure. So, just to state, education can be enriched definitely by embedding financial literacy into it. The more you learn, the more you will earn. Under our girls' education program, we provide a lot of opportunities to our girl students to learn about how to be smart with your money. So, under our life skills program, we have uniquely designed grade and age appropriate sessions on financial literacy. So, these sessions are regularly conducted with girls across different grades in government schools. Among the several aspects that we teach our girl students, that don't waste your money trying to look cool by focusing on differentiating between needs and wants. Beware of little expenses, as a small leak can sink a great ship. So, how to spend your money wisely? Spend less than you earn. This is the key. How to identify between individual needs and wants. Budget. Tell your money where to go rather than wondering where it went, highlighting the importance of savings, save for emergencies, they are bound to happen, and know your enemies, fear, greed, and impatience. So these actually enable you or make you learn how to adopt a problem solving mindset. So understanding the far reaching impact of the mass media, we have aired radio episodes on financial literacy, planning my finance, and savings. Going forward, we have also designed and developed comic books and videos around financial literacy to equip our future leaders with an entrepreneurial and problem solving mindset. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitender. Sohini, if you can, throw some light on, how you want a self-sustaining community, for a minute, then we can conclude this session.
Are you talking about from the point of financial literacy, or
Combined,
on
combine, combine.
um, so as I pointed out before, also it's important, and especially in the 11 to 18 age group, which is a prime time for
Mm.
engaging girls and boys in programs and activities to build their social, human, financial, and physical assets. I think it's important on group formation. Talking to mixed groups, I think talking to mixed groups is often seen as a barrier to talk about really important things in adolescents' lives. But we have found that talking to mixed groups actually help us to overcome a lot of social barriers. Leadership development for young girls and boys to think through what is the life choice, what is their life choices, what is their decision making abilities, how can they actually make decisions, and how can financial assets be built through programs that really help them to understand about savings, about opening bank accounts, simple things in very simple, through simple experiential learning can actually be absolutely beneficial for them, and provide a foundation for economic and social empowerment for girls. Because often what happens is that girls grow up, and in India, education for girls is actually tied to marriages. You want a poor rural girl to be educated because you want to find a better groom for her.
Groom.
If we do not delink this, the aspirational education, from marriage, then we are forever going to have marriage be a be all and end all for women in their lives. So that's where I will stop.
Thank you so much. You all three made, for the youth which is listening here right now, there are school students and the principals and teachers who have joined them. It's a great opportunity for them to hear it from a Padma Shri awardee, such a breakthrough India as doing so much of an awesome work for this gender equality and women empowerment, and Jitendra being the financial advisor. I hope everybody has got their sort of niche and environment, and the message that we want to spread, that have a gender equality, give financial literacy a priority in your life, and also become a sustainable community here. So three of you, we want to conclude this session, but if like three of you can summarize your talk, and we can just address it to the youth, and we can welcome youth to ask questions in the chat. There are so many students are here, and this is a golden opportunity for you people. You can go ahead and ask questions as much as you can in the chat. uh, Miss Geeta, you can go ahead then for the summarization.
Well, I think that I agree with I in sense I don't agree with Ayushi. I think he said the asset. He was talking about assets, and he never mentioned children as an asset. I think Katha has built on the bold and singular idea that children can bring change, and children can bring change. It is not just in financial inclusion or financial literacy, but in seeing that boys and girls. Shoni, you will be interested to know that we have something called the Geek program. Okay, all our books are built along the Geek. Geek stands for Girls, Earth, Equity, and Kindness. We think that if you have mastered all these four, then you are a geek and you can enter into geekdom. Okay? So we invite people to enter into geekdom with looking at these things and looking at equality and equity and looking at children, girls especially, and boys, but boys and girls hold up 50% of the sky each. So we have to look at boys learning enough about girls and girls learning
And
enough about the problems that both
point.
face.
That's
So
the
the
point.
whole thing of learning about how money, that very fluid kind of a thing, which just goes before you even know it. How do you manage that when boys and girls are talking together and they bring their very specific strengths into managing that resource that we all have? Then we think of leadership. I think girls' leadership and boys' leadership are both important, and both of them are unique and very, very special. And when girls and boys work together, they can conquer the world. Thank you.
Yes. Well said, all three of you. Being an empowered country, we need to make all the elements empowered, and we know that somewhere we live in a patriarchal system. And I totally agree with Sohini that it has become a barrier for us to growth. But eventually, the people like Sohini and all of them, they want to create. Can I say destroy that barrier, uh, and bring out the change? Yes. So with that thought, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you so much, Ms. Geeta, Ms. Sohini, and Jitendra for being such wonderful speakers.